Hello and welcome to Timberborn and the settlement of Whitewater. In this episode, we are going to be finally expanding the industry in the upper plateau, dealing with the complete collapse of our power supply, and surviving an accidental flooding of the valley with bad tide. Let's jump right in. At the moment, we've got a pretty basic economy. We've got a little bit of steel and dynamite going on, as well as some planks and gears down by the river. However, what I really want to do is start scaling up all our industry up in this upper plateau here. And in last episode, you saw that we started to lay down the foundation of some major storage with the idea that we could build our actual factories up on top. So that is the goal for this episode. I want to start building all of this up. You can also see that we have this empty lake up here. I'm thinking that it would be good to actually fill this up with water, and then we could have some more trees being produced that could go right into our industry. Long term, I'd like to eventually take that and connect it all the way back up to the dam, and I think that's still a possibility. So with all this said, let's take a look at some of our production that we've got going. We've got some of this foundation that we've laid down, and it's still pending to being done. We've got a bunch of beavers ripping out all of this iron and scrap, which is being stored over here. Most of this production isn't being done because I think they're still finishing up a few things on our major dam. So if we look over at our dam here, you can see that we started to separate things into two different pockets. So we've got the pocket that will contain the bad water when it arrives, as well as this kind of auxiliary reserve that we could eventually extend up into here if we wanted to. We've got just a few more pieces here that need to be built. And after that, I think the construction effort is largely done here. While I'm here though, I think what I'm going to do is just lay down some background work, some like very low priority work that's going to take a while for the beavers to get to, and maybe just extend kind of that dam with the idea that eventually this is going to be what connects to that upper lake. Now this is going to take them forever to do because they can just do it sequentially, but that's fine. This is just going to be background work. And a double bad tide. Wow. That is bad luck. I mean, unfortunately for us, we have our dam that's going to stop that. But that's two bad tides back to back with only 13 days in between. That would be pretty rough in other circumstances. But the last bad tide, because of this dam, it was basically a no-op. So we're going to be fine for this one. Anyways, I'm going to keep an eye on that. When it gets closer, I'm just going to package everything up and then we'll outlast it. Now, let's take a look with everything up here. What do we got? We've got these that need to be produced. They should start being built soon. I think we're going to want another underground pile or two or even four up in here. So we'll plop down at least two of those. Actually, we'll make that three of these. Idea is we'll get each of the major resources that need to be fed into our production. So we'll get lumber, timber, treated planks, and maybe metal blocks or scrap. Next, this is our temporary water supply over here. Maybe what we can do is get some of this cleared up. We can clear all these trees out, dam it off, and then we can potentially have somebody here just start filling it with water. That will get some life back in here, and then we can plant some trees. We're going to have them finish as much as this kind of foundation as we need in the beginning. So we get the power going in here, maybe the stairs. And here they come. And there is our first foundation. What I'm thinking we can do is snowball our production. So a lot of this platform requires logs and planks. So I'm thinking planks should be the first thing that we should produce, followed by gears. Gears is the next thing that we use a lot. Oh, we've got our bad tide has arrived, so we're gonna stockpile all our water. And remember to cut this water off too, to keep it pristine. There we go, and there is our system working. So we'll drop that down. This really makes bad tides easy. That means we just have 3 days we need to survive with water, so this is basically just a 3-day drought. Hey, we'll just completely ignore that bad tide for now, and oh, look at this. We've got some good progress already. It's like I was mentioning earlier, we're gonna snowball this production. So I'm gonna have this first one take some of our high priority items. So I'm gonna do gears, which will produce early, and then we'll want this one to have our planks, because those seem to be the big items that we're gonna need for a lot of things. Oh, and you can see they made excellent progress cutting down all those trees. We can build this little dam over here. I need to make sure the road's close enough for them to reach it. Well, we have some dynamite down here ready to detonate. When I get around to it, I'll take these apart and replace them with a much bigger storage for dynamite down there. Actually, this is something we could do now. We could just have them move everything up here. Right now, we're going to take all the dynamite, move it up there, and we're going to have them empty these two down here so I can tear them out and replace them. Wow, they moved those out quickly. It happened way faster than I thought it would. Okay, we'll just go ahead and delete both of those. You can see that new explosives barely takes any of the storage we need. Look at all those explosives. Now, we're not going to be able to fit too many production buildings up here. And let's just take a look at our plank. They are 3 long, which is going to fit in perfectly fine up here. I have a feeling some of these buildings are going to be a little bit too long for it. So we have enough research. I'm just going to unlock our paper mill and our printing press just to kind of see. Yeah, they are 4. So that is kind of a flaw in the design that I have here, because I would like to just keep these stacked all the way. In theory, I'd have to have another building kind of hanging out on the end there. But we can tackle that when we get to it, as we have those larger buildings. Probably the cheapest thing for me to do would just be to lay down double platforms where I need it on the edge. Or if I want it to be, really efficient, I could try to stick some additional housing on the edge here, like that, and use additional homes all the way up here, and then I could build the factory on top of the homes. These would be definitely reduced rent buildings. Let's get that power connected, though. So we'll start them with 2 lumber mills, and our bad tide ended already. Again, basically a non-event at this point. And this worked really well. We'll just wait for this water to purify, and then we can open everything up again. I'm going to lower all this really quickly to see if we can dump as much of that toxic bad water out as we can. Okay, that's looking pretty diluted. So we'll close that up, and then we're going to let the water start flowing again. Still a little bit of purple in there, but maybe not EPA approved, but close enough. Back at our industry, we see a few things starting to come in. Now, they're complaining about no power, and I'm noticing, I think, that under this platform, I need to replace this little piece in here. That's why. So we'll want like a T-junction. And then we also need our second choice of what to store here. I think this is going to be logs. We'll have logs being produced and then put right back there. So we're going to start producing a lot more planks. Also unpause these so we have more room for more factories to build. And I see that we have our little dam formed here now. So we can go ahead and have somebody start pumping water. Now, a depth of 1 is going to evaporate pretty quick in here. I'm thinking I'll throw in a little bit of dynamite. We might not have enough for the entire pool just yet, but we can start putting some of that down. Look at that, getting some nice green up here. Of course, this is going to evaporate so quickly. This guy's got a lot of pumping to do. We'll prioritize it by the haulers. But we've got a lot of hauling and not a lot of haulers around, so he's probably still walking a lot. Oh, did I forget to open the dam? We did. Every time. They'll dry out. They're beavers. There. Though it looks like our baby boom finally hit. Look at that. We have 19 unemployed beavers. This is perfect. Now, are they unemployed because of flooding? Yeah, a good number of them were. So, I take that back. We're still waiting for a bigger baby boom. We've got 17 beavers still coming, so that's okay. In fact, we can barely keep up with our bread demand right now. Before we even grow our population anymore, I'm thinking we should throw down another bakery. Nice fresh bread right next to our industrial housing complex, and they get to listen to these spinning things all day long. How are we doing on our foundation? Good. Just need a few more resources on that guy. We'll put down a bunch of more lumber mills here, and then after that we'll do another 6 gear production. A problem that we're going to run into is getting lumber up here. So we do have logs, 16 logs up here. Longer term, it's going to be a big job of all the haulers to take everything up, especially for consuming it all. So one of my ideas with this green space up in here is that we can use that to build more trees. I'm thinking a forester somewhere over here, and we could probably get a good number of trees here and then also down in this area. I'm also going to connect these 2 roads all the way across. I think that will be good to get access to plant more trees here, just make it easier to get access to the other trees here and all that resin. I think I want to do something a little bit different with this. Instead of having this big staircase sticking out here, I'm going to build the staircase a little bit into the mountain. That might look pretty cool. Yeah, I'm thinking that looks pretty good. Now, we can go ahead and place a forester down. Let's see where we can find a good location for one that has a lot of coverage. Let's go with that. Clear cut all of these to get rid of them. And then we're going to also throw down a few lumberjacks. Of course, I'm going to go oak. Oak all the way. We'll take all that extra space. I'll fill in the rest once we get those logs taken out. Okay, how are we doing up here? We are ready for our next set of lumber. We're ready to unblock these. Like we can put another 2 down, I think. And I think I'm just going to continue that pattern that we have with our road down here. So we got a road that goes this way, and then every so often we'll get kind of stairs that go down. And then these are going to be all our gear production. Okay, how are we looking on supplies? We are really limited by planks, so these should be a priority to finish. And what are they limited by? They don't have logs. What is this guy doing? Is he walking very far to find logs? Yeah, he's going and running to get supplies. So these trees are going to be very valuable. I'm going to put this prioritized by haulers, see if that helps, but we have so much stuff that needs to be moved around and large distances and not a lot of haulers. Yeah, we've got 10 out of 10 haulers. We could throw in another hauling post, kind of jammed in back here. Another thing we should consider doing is building some more water. Our water is going down because we've got all our water being used temporarily to fill this lake up here. That eventually will slow down, but we do have over 100 beavers, so maybe an auxiliary supply of water would be prudent, especially if we have long droughts coming up. I can say we can unlock the large tank. Problem is it requires a lot of gears and planks, which we don't have a lot of. At least not until our industry takes off, and I'd rather reinvest all the gears and planks we have coming in to building out our industry even more. Maybe what I'll do is plop this down, but make it low priority. Given we've had a big beaver population boom lately, I'm gonna actually extend some of our wheat flour. I want an extra supply of food in case things go bad. So I think we should have a grist mill and another like higher capacity storage for processed flour. And we have drought approaching in 2.2 days. I'm taking a look at our water supply. We are slowly eating into it because everything is going up into here right now. This poor guy, he is pumping water as quickly as he can, but it's probably evaporating just as fast. And that's eating up into our water supply. Oh no, I just realized I'd opened up this extra dam to stockpile water for the drought, and I didn't realize I was dumping all the river off the map because this wasn't fully built. But that's okay, we've got 2 days, we can still get all our water levels back up before bad things happen. One of the things I'd like to add later on is more heavy water pumps too. So we've got a large water pump, and the large water pump will do the duty of, I think, 5 of these small ones. So very nice if we can get it going. Now we can't build it yet because we're gonna need treated planks, and we don't have treated plank production going yet. However, we do have pine resin that's being collected, which is the prerequisite for treated planks. And as soon as we get a nice road going all the way up to our main industry, we can get treated plank production set up here as well. In fact, let's take a look to see what it would take to build one of these. Yeah, it's unfortunately one of those long rectangular shapes, so it doesn't really fit in really well with everything else. If we had this torn down, it would be a good place to build this. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I really hate to use usable green space for industry. I'm thinking I can just continue building more industry on stilts over this bad water. So I can't really use it for anything else, and might as well go to good use. Now, before I get to that though, I did notice this. Look at this. Our gravity battery is slowly dropping down. As we have been adding more industry, our power supply down here isn't able to power everything. So we're also going to need more windmills. And I think that's probably more important than adding more consumption to those windmills. Now we do have this space over here. I'm thinking maybe we can go ahead and add those windmills over there. And when I built this staircase, just in case we needed to do that, I added this extra little spot down here that we could maybe run power through. So if we were to look at this, I think we could prioritize rebuilding this. So if I'm going to destroy this right now, that's going to break all our power supply pretty bad. Then we're going to rush build this part right here. And now we can go ahead and continue the power line all the way this way. Now what we can do is we can run this all the way across and keep power all within it. So we'll transfer all that power over the bad water, make that super high priority, the most important thing people could be working on right now. And then from here, we're gonna need that power generation. I'd like to unlock large windmills, but we don't yet have paper, which is unfortunate. So we're gonna need to rough it with these temporary small windmills for a little bit longer. And then we'll just keep repeating that. And all of that's gonna be as high priority as we can make it, because this gravity battery is not going to last much longer. In fact, we're going to run out of power before this is over. But look at them go. We'll build that bridge in no time. I see the drought is about to begin, so before that comes, let's go ahead and pull everything up. We'll stockpile what we can. And I think for the population's sake, I'm going to temporarily pause our water filling effort up here. In fact, long term, I think we would probably need 2 fluid dumps up here if we're going to make any progress. We've got 6 days, we should be fine. And they can spend their drought finishing up this bridge. And there goes our gravity battery, just about out of power and empty. Okay, everything's going to be at low efficiency now, and stopping when the wind stops. After a couple days, it looks like they finally reached the other side. Now they can go ahead and start building those windmills. Let's go check on our water supply for the rest of the town, though. Well, we actually need some more water to come down. Well, it's starting to dry out a bit, so we can try some of our auxiliary supply that we've created up here. We'll first dump some water from the reserve, and then we'll dump some water from the lake. And this is funny. So you can see this little part, our first dam, the founding dam, and you can see there's still water in here, but there's no water over here. And that's because we've pumped it all out of the river. So it shows how much water we're actually pumping on a day-over-day basis. It actually had that much impact on the water level. This is a pattern I really like in Timberborn, is you create kind of this multi-tiered dam structure. So you have one dam that goes into another, that goes into another. And you can just keep on having it flow. Now, I did turn off this, which was good because we are using up all our water. These trees are fine though. They can last up to 15 days, I think it is, for oaks without water. So I could just start putting more water in once we have a good flow coming back in. I will use the lull to continue putting in more dynamite. Make this a deeper lake. How are we doing on our power supply issue? We have, however, reached the other side of that canyon with the bad water. So we'll have some new power coming in pretty quickly. What is this? We have a contaminated beaver. Oh, look at that. I wonder how it got contaminated. It must have been contaminated for a while. I thought we had blocked everything off, but I must have had some construction going on. So what is this? Well-being, contamination. How many contaminated beavers do we have? We have 3 of them. Okay, what do we do with that? So we need a herbalist. So what does a herbalist need? It needs berries, flowers, and paper. And we have none of those. So what do? Maybe we just wait for the contaminated beaver to pass? Do they spread contamination? I hope not. Otherwise, we're gonna have to banish them. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. I'm gonna keep an eye on this little thing here where it says number of beavers contaminated. If that gets above 3 and we had no more bad water in, I'm gonna have to send them somewhere. Oh, I see the contaminated went down. Well, that's good. Maybe it means they died? In which case that's bad, but it's better than them contaminating everybody. And there is our first windmill. Of course, there's no wind to help. Oh, speaking of, there it is. Yeah, we have a lot of input right now. That's probably enough to start. And of course, it's at night, so that's going to start charging that battery up. Wow. One good night, and that thing almost charged halfway up. And very quickly falls once the morning arrives. Excellent. That should double our power production by wind. Now, it is still a little sporadic, but I am seeing our gravity battery at least being high again. So that's very good. I would like treated planks, and I think the way to do it is to extend this production basically down, built on stilts. But that takes a lot of resources we don't have because we are still limited on our regular planks. So I'm wondering, I might be able to just stick 1 or 2 treated planks just kind of in here temporarily. So if I just do that, how is the city looking? We do have a lot of vacancies. We could use a lot more beavers, but I don't want to push that until we have more water. So I think next on my agenda then is going to be that large tank and then the medium pump. So we're going to need some treated logs up here. So I'm going to have this hold resin, and we'll build a wood workshop right there. So we're going to do this. What we're going to do is we're going to first get treated planks. Once we have treated planks coming in, we can then afford to get a better pump. Then once we have a better pump, we can pump more water. And then once we have more water, then we can increase our population. So this is complete yak shaving. This is just insane. Because all we want to do is extend our industry, but to do that, we've got to do all those other steps. First step, we're going to go ahead and make that wood workshop. And done. Second step, now we need some treated planks. And done. Okay, now we're going to take those treated planks and we're going to convert it into a pump. Before we do, though, I want that to be a lot deeper supply of water. And apparently another bad tide while we're doing all of this. That's okay. We need water for the bad tide anyways. It will build a platform for it to stay on, and then throw down the pump. And there's our first large pump. So one of these does the work of 5 small ones, but only takes 3 of the beavers. Okay, next step, get that large tank. Plank, gears, and metal blocks. The only thing we're limited on are planks. Another day, another bad tide. We'll close up all our supplies. Start stockpiling our water. Oh no. This is awful. I forgot to turn on the reverse flow, so I've let bad water kind of overflow into everything else. Oh no. Maybe we can block some of these roads, get people out of there. Oh no, this is a complete mess. The dam worked as intended. It's all user error. Oh man, look at that. So luckily, I don't think anybody has to work over here right now. These are flooded, but not yet dead. That is very unfortunate. All that water is flooding down. I didn't notice it until it got all the way down here too. We might have to let out a little bit of water just to try to drain this out. And hopefully nobody gets contaminated from this. Okay, it's starting to clear a bit there. Like, bad water, I think, has to be at a certain level of contamination for it to count. So hopefully the water levels weren't that bad. It wasn't that, like, intense. Well, it's recovering now. And here I thought we were immune to the bad tide now that I had this. But I gotta remember to open the damn gates. On the upside, we do now have our large tank, and it can start holding water, so that's good. What else can we do up here? I mean, the other thing I think we need is paper production. Let's throw paper production. And that's also why this is not powered, because we have this gap. Ugh, but paper production is a very unusually shaped building, unlike everything else. Well, that is very unfortunate. I think since we want paper anyways, I'm just gonna temporarily destroy one of these gear shops. Okay, now let's continue our yak shaving. We got treated planks to make pumps, to make additional water storage. Our water supply is now going up. At this point, we can now afford more homes for more beavers to address our working shortage. Why don't we throw in another layer just because? There we go. That should give us another population boom. Fill up those vacancies. And these guys have stopped because they have enough scrap. We're gonna need another underground pile of scrap just to get rid of it. And the bad tide ended, so we can flush out all that other stuff. But you can see, yeah, there was a little bit of bad water that got left over. Now, I noticed these will continue pumping through all of that, so I'm guessing that pumps have a way of filtering good water out of bad water at a very slow rate. Good news is that with our production so up high, we're able to build things much quicker now. This underground pile, we had everything stockpiled. We could just dump those resources in immediately. So now these guys can get back to work. And this one pumper, he's been fighting the good fight. He's been slowly trying to get this thing full. Look at all that dynamite. This is going to be a nice, good supply of water. Especially once we can get a not so manual where we have one person having to pump everything. First off, I should have two people here. I just short of staff. I feel bad for Zakundi here who has to do everything by himself. Long term, really what I want to do is get that constructed back with the dam. And you can see that even though I set up these orders way up in the beginning of the game, I've had these beavers so busy building up the industry and they haven't been able to build any of it. You know, early on, I forgot to continue building this road. I want to make this connected to the other part of the map, and we finish that road. There, just like that, and immediately in use by the tapper. But I think with that, we're at a pretty good stopping point for this. We actually did get a lot of industry set up here. Hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I hope to catch you next time.